Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Bag Collection Podcast. My guest today is my amazing audition teacher, Robbie Tann. I absolutely adore this man. He is so talented and such a wonderful teacher. If you guys can ever get classes with him, do it. I loved learning from him and he was just so cool. I loved going back and editing this episode. I was cracking up. So I hope you guys really enjoy the episode. Thank you again for hopping on, Robbie. And as always, like, comment, and share.
All right. Getting my stuff sorted out here. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, cool. I'm in my car, so.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Believe me, I get it. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
You just got to make it work, as we're all just like sort of figuring out right now. So how's it going?
Pretty good. How about you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. You know, hanging in. I mean, as good as you can do during all this, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've stayed in New York, right?
I was in New York till the end of May, and then I've been in and out. So I'm in Rochester, New York right now. I went back to the city for a week to kind of check on my apartment and deal with some, little things here and there. But now I'm back in Rochester through maybe August, and then, who knows? Actually, I'm not sure if I'm going to be, since this basically the year is done, I might be leaving and then coming back. So I have no idea. Everything's up in the air, I'm sure, as you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been keeping up with Backstage and everything, and I've been applying, and it's weird to even do it right now because, again, with everything happening, we probably won't start doing very much work until the end of this year, if not next year.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
I mean, they keep trying to open the industry up, but it's so hard to do that with everything going on.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think it's mainly just all the unknowns right now. Everyone wants to get going, but I just, none of us know. I think that's the reality of the situation right now. But yeah, otherwise things are good. Are we on? Is this the podcast?
Yeah. Welcome
This is the podcast.
Welcome.
All right.
Yeah. So, I mean, what have you been up to since we kind of went into lockdown and everything?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, mainly, everything shut down. I was in the middle of working on a show, and the show literally stopped production. I think right around the time that everything closed down, schools closed down in mid-March. I'd worked like a week in Philadelphia in March, and was supposed to come back at the end of March to shoot on a show that I've been working on, and it was just all canceled. So it's just been like mainly just trying to stay afloat, trying to stay creative, writing with my creative partners, and just keeping my fingers crossed that work will start supposedly in September, but really it's just in kind of a holding pattern right now, and trying to plan as much as I can. But again, yeah, there's a lot to that we don't. I've said it like 9 times. There's a lot that we don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, I've been doing a lot of the podcast interviews. So I've interviewed like people from the horror genre, and of course, like a couple teachers, including you now, and
Yeah.
Doing this podcast. I'm working on a new web series that revolves around horror. Because I'm a huge.
Are you a horror fan?
I'm a huge horror fan. Yeah.
You are? Okay, cool.
I love it. I literally, my dream is to honestly be like a final girl scream queen. Like, I would love that so much.
That's
like
awesome.
Some people think I'm literally insane for it, but I grew up on horror films. I love horror films. That's literally a dream of mine. So
I do not think you're insane. I think you're I mean, it's such a great genre, and it's becoming, even more and more interesting, as like so many films are getting made now in the horror genre where kind of more interesting things are happening, so
right. Well, and then you see Blumhouse, and like they're exploding now. Like Jason Blum, like he owns horror, and like there's so many people I want to work with. Like I love Rob Zombie, so like he's the number one person that I want to work with.
Oh,
Before.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I love Rob. His films are amazing. I love what he does with his directing and everything. And have you seen his Halloween films?
I think the only Rob Zombie Halloween film that I'd seen is literally the remake of Halloween, which I liked because I grew up on those movies, and I actually really liked his remake of the Halloween movie.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean,
So
they're pretty intense, right?
They are. Well, here, a lot of people, and I'm like an in-between person. So, like, I don't want too much gore, but I don't want, like, too much jump scare either. I think there has to be balance.
Yeah.
And I think, especially with his second one, a lot of people kind of didn't like how gory it got. But I was all for it. I didn't think there was a lot. I think there was just like, I don't know, because I'm very particular about that kind of stuff. So, like, I feel like he did it to where it was like, okay, that's enough. That's perfect right where it is. But I think a lot of people got stuck on that. And then maybe even just the fact of that it was completely different from the other ones, which is completely understandable. Like, who doesn't love the original and stuff like that? So it's weird, and sometimes I understand you, but like, how could you not like a Rob Zombie film?
Is that like a dividing line for you, where you're like, we can be friends or we can't be friends, or the Rob Zombie?
Harsh. Okay, well, I don't want to say no, but I'm not gonna like, I'll sit there and defend him, no doubt. I'll be like, no, listen, but I'm not gonna like, no, we can't be friends. But
okay.
But
you never know, though, you know?
I mean, hey, and I think that can be a little too far, but you also, I'm trying to think how to phrase this now. It's like, I think that's too far, but then it's also like, I still don't know what I'm trying to say.
It matters. It's personal.
Exactly.
It is personal. It matters to you. It's deep. It cuts deep when people don't like movies that you love. I totally get that.
Like, there's a lot of actors that I talk about, like Scout Taylor Compton or John Bernthal or even Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and they're like, who is that? And I'm like, how do you not know those actors? Like, how dare you not know who those people are? And so I like to also, like, reel people into new things, because I feel like a lot of people nowadays, they get stuck on, like, something particular, and it's good, especially for us artists and actors and such, to be more open to things no matter what, because you're still learning even just by watching a film all the time.
That's true.
So
it's true, and you don't know where your career is going to take you, you know what I mean? You also don't know, that might be the place where, you know, you end up making a career out of. So why be you know, not open to new things and new genres and stuff like that. So I completely agree with you. Yeah.
Have you been watching more like movies or television shows, like, while you've been in quarantine? If you even been really watching anything.
That's a great question, because quarantine has been so long and I've watched so much stuff. I started out by watching the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe from beginning to end.
Wow.
That was my first, and I'd seen some of the movies, and the truth is that I did not appreciate them enough before I watched them all in order, because they're like one long book, but as individual movies, I'd seen them here and there, and I was like, they're kind of okay. But when I watched them all in order, it's like a totally different experience, and I ended up actually really loving them. I mean, not all of them are great, but as a whole composite series, it's pretty impressive.
Exactly. No, I agree. I don't think, another thing also, just to bring up, I don't think people realize how much actually goes into filming a television show or a movie. Literally anything in general that surrounds being an actor. There's so much that goes into it. And like, going to school, like, I knew there was like a lot that goes into it. But once I started learning like techniques and more about script analyzing and all that. I was like, holy crap, this is actual work, and you have to love this. Like, you
Absolutely.
really have to love this to do the work that you have to do.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's meant to look easy when you watch it. You know, because it's so seamlessly done. But yeah, like you said, the man hours and the female hours, I should say too, it are just um, people have no idea, you know, what goes into it. So I think that's a really great point, for sure. What have you been watching?
Well, some people make fun of me for this, but I love Vampire Diaries a lot. So
Okay. I haven't seen it.
Oh, well, if you see my Comic-Con wall, that's also something I love to do with my life.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's you at Comic-Con? Is that what that is?
Yeah, they're photo ops from Comic-Cons I've been to.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, I'll get more into that, what I was going to say next in a minute, because I could go on a full-on tangent about what I was about to say. But
okay.
Yeah. So,
I'm here for it, but
I always. But I met most of the cast, so there's just something about that show, like, I will rewatch it over and over, and there's still things that I was like, oh my gosh, I never noticed that before. Or there's a certain moment and you're like, oh my gosh, that was actually like the perfect moment. I like reminiscing on things. So I'll rewatch that. American Horror Story, of course. I picked up on this last year, but there's an animated series on Netflix called F is for Family.
I haven't watched it. Is it good?
It's very dark humored, so it's not for most people, but I highly recommend it. It's like Family Guy. My dad and I came up with it's Family Guy on steroids.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's very inappropriate. It's sensitive. It can be sensitive. It can be it's pretty vulgar with language and stuff, but it is very funny. It's probably it's kind of like Rick and Morty almost, but with family.
I see.
In a sense too.
Yeah, I love animation stuff. Like, I feel like it sometimes gets a bad rap, but some of the funniest, like, and even like BoJack Horseman, which is a great show, like, had such depth to it, you know. So I feel like it's all definitely kind of underrated for sure. Yeah, I watched like 2 or 3 HBO shows back to back too that were awesome. Like, I watched Sharp Objects. Did you watch Sharp Objects?
I haven't yet, but I need to because I heard it.
You'd like it. Good. Yeah. Oh my God. If you're a horror person, you will totally dig that show. Plot Against America was amazing, and then I started watching Big Love recently, which is also just a great classic television show.
Nice.
But yeah, that's pretty much been my viewing, and all kinds of other little stuff. But,
yeah, I mean, it's basically been rewatching old stuff. Like, again, people might laugh at this, but like, I love Monsters Inc. The best.
Why would anyone laugh at that? It's a great. That's great.
Well,
why would anyone? If anyone gives you a hard time, that's not cool.
Well, thank you. Like, some people, not all people, but I'll say some, because some people, I'll be like, I just want to watch like an old movie from when I was literally a baby and just enjoy it. And then some people are like, oh my gosh, you're like 20. Why are you watching that? And I'm like, yeah, I'm 20 and I still love Disney. So go away.
Good for you. Like, honestly, good for you. No, that's not cool. You should just be proud about your Monsters Inc. loving and just own it. Yeah, good.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so, I don't know. I think it's just because I grew up in such like an open-minded person to things that I am never like closed off to anything new or different. So, and I feel like I'm pretty blessed with that, and I'm glad that I'm like that, because I would hate, and this is not to judge anybody who's closed off to certain things. It might come off that way, but that's why I'm saying, not sounding like that. But yeah, it's nice to be able to go into something with like not an expectation, or like you're like, no, like you're just like, here for it. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah, totally.
If
I
that
think
makes
that
sense.
it completely makes sense. I think that's something that probably, when I was, in my early 20s, I think that if I had known that, what you're saying, when I was your age, I probably would have been in a much better position in my life, because it takes a long time to, have that kind of confidence to be like, I know this is going to be uncomfortable. I know this is going to be maybe weird, or people are going to be like, why are you doing that? But ultimately, once you learn that it doesn't matter what other people think really
Exactly.
at all, as long as you're a decent person,
Right.
um, so kudos to you for having a handle on that, and understanding that at this point.
I try.
Yeah.
I just, yeah, it will. And then just especially with just everything nowadays, it's just very important to keep learning and being open and just continue to like educate yourself in different ways and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So
completely. Um, yeah, but so where are you right now? Are you at home, and where is home?
I'm back home. I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So,
Gotcha. Okay,
yeah.
there you go.
So I mean, I got a job about a month ago, so I've just been working and saving money. I started this like gut health weight loss stuff called Plexus, so I've been feeling great, and
Awesome.
I got some people signed up under me because I'm an ambassador, so I'm making extra money there.
That's
I,
amazing.
I'm just working and doing tons of stuff left and right, and sometimes I feel like I overwhelm myself, but I feel like it's also a great feeling because I'm never not busy really anymore, and
Mm.
I just feel like that's nice nowadays. So
Yeah, I mean, if you can find ways, if you have, a situation where you're keeping yourself busy, and you're able to not, uh, freak out like most people are with the boredom and not knowing what's going on, I think that's a huge blessing,
mhm.
and I'm happy to hear that you've got all that going on.
Well, yeah,
Um,
because in the beginning of this, like I definitely will say like I lost my mind for a minute there because I'm like an in between of being social. I love being around my friends and family, but then I'm also like, okay, I need me time. Like I need to take time for myself too. So I literally stayed in my house, not didn't leave at all for a straight 3 months. And that's what a
yeah,
majority of people did, of course.
right.
And my dad would be the one to go out and go get the groceries and stuff if we needed anything and all that. So he was off work for a while. Like once I came home, that's when he was off work. He went back like maybe 2 weeks ago or
Yeah,
so.
wow,
And my mom's a nurse, so she was working the
wow,
front line. Yeah, she was working the front line, so that was scary from time to time because I always worried about her health
of
because I
course.
mean, listen, I could catch it, you never know, but it's still I'm more worried about them than I was me. So when
Yeah.
she was the one on the front lines doing that, like I gave her a lot of credit for that always because that
Oh
is
my
scary.
gosh. Thank goodness for people like your mother who are out there like fighting the good fight for the rest of us, because it's
Right.
brutal. It's brutal. I just feel for people who are, who are doing that so much, So that's amazing to hear about your mom. I didn't know she was a nurse.
Yeah.
Um, I'm glad she's doing okay. I mean,
Yeah, me too. Yeah, because well, she worked in the hospital for like 20 years, and now she's a home care nurse.
okay.
So, yeah, so I mean, I feel like that's a little better than being in a hospital, but there's
Well,
still
it's
way
still definitely, you're
yeah,
probably around more higher risk people, I would imagine.
exactly.
Like
Yeah.
that's even more in some ways, scary, because
Hmm.
I well, thank goodness for your mom. I mean,
No,
really.
that's what I
Yeah.
mean. Like, exactly. I agree.
Are y'all close? Is your family close?
Yeah, my parents and we have a really good relationship, so I'm really grateful for that. They're always very supportive and everything in what I do. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like the whole family goes, I would say we're definitely really close. One thing that I always think of, like, especially with like any friends even, you don't always have to talk to somebody to be super close with them. It's nice to just be able to be close
Right.
to somebody, but not always have to be in contact with them, if that makes sense. Not that that's bad if you talk to them every day, but
Right.
it's
Right. Right.
it's nice to
That's
have a
great.
relationship like that too.
So
Yeah.
Don't you just
sorry
love
about that.
technology?
Technology, it's the best. It's the
Oh,
best.
sometimes it's weird because sometimes, like, when I am interviewing people and they'll be like, "Oh, well, you're skipping or you're freezing," but then it's like you're skipping and you're freezing. It's so,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Zoom or Wi-Fi anymore. Like,
Yeah.
technology is just weird.
It'll be great when we can all just get together again. I can't wait
Exactly.
for that time.
Me too. Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after I said that I'm pretty much close with like all my friends and family, but we don't always have to talk to be close. You skipped out after that.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, I mean, those are the best kinds of like family and friends, you know. It's like I just when I have people like trying to get me to like call them back and then they hold it against me and it's like I've got my whole life going on, I just know immediately that we're not probably meant to be friends
Right.
because like we'll talk when we talk, you know. If you're in a crisis situation, I'll be there. Of course I'll be there. But like I don't, you know, if I've got stuff going on and if you're like mad at me for not calling you, you generally know like, okay, that's my kind of person. Like we're good. We don't talk for a while. We'll still be fine. So
Exactly. Like to always have to like answer someone or call someone back, because then it's just like you feel guilty, and it's like, why do I feel guilty? Like, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I'll call you back when I can.
yeah, I mean exactly, and
You
it's
know?
also like just because we can talk all the time now, like just because we can all text each other all the time, and you can reach me via email any, you know, whatever, any minute of the day. Do we all have to talk all the time? You know,
Exactly.
yeah, and it's not like it's that bad of a thing, but it's just when there's, you know, certain people and maybe in your life or in my life I know who put all that added pressure on it, you know, and
Yeah.
it's nice to have people who you just know are gonna be there when they're there, and you're gonna be there for them when you can be, and so
Hmm.
I respect that. Do you have any plans to move back to New York or LA? What's your plan after all this mess
So
gets sorted out?
I New York will always have a special place in my heart. I know eventually, like, I'll definitely visit. I'll definitely work there.
Oh, so
I'm
you're
just,
leaving. You're gone. I can hear
yeah,
it. You're
yeah,
out. You're done.
done.
It's
But
over.
but I don't know. It's just this past school year, I was like, I just don't see a permanence for me here, and I don't know why. But I always am one to follow my gut. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
very important, because I don't want to look over those kinds of things, because a lot of times when you do, I mean, at least for me, if I've looked over something like that, it wasn't the best choice later. So recently I interviewed another actor named Moses Mosley, and we were talking about some stuff, and he honestly, I don't know really what he said that made it click completely, but I'm planning on going to Georgia for a couple years eventually. Just because there is a lot of work down there, and when I tell people that, they get surprised. I'm like, yeah, that's literally the Hollywood of the South.
Yeah,
So
I've heard a lot about Georgia, and a friend of a friend of mine is on Ozark, and he was cast in Georgia. I mean, he's like a local Georgia actor, and so to your point, like there's a lot of opportunity, especially if you're breaking into the industry,
Mhm.
to go to other markets like that and have a good chance at getting seen and getting in, you know, involved in major, you know, television shows. So I think that's a very, and if it's more to your speed and lifestyle, it's so important. Did you not like New
Mhm.
York, or were you just like, what was
Um,
your?
I do love New York. Genuinely, I do. I just I don't, it's so weird. I literally cannot exactly explain why. I just didn't
Yeah.
feel the permanence there. I don't know if it was because I already experienced living there for 2 years and I was like, maybe I just want to venture out, or
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I've been to Atlanta a couple times for Comic-Con, and I don't know if it was the Southern hospitality or just like Georgia itself, but I loved it down there in Atlanta. So there are TV shows down there that I love. So like there's Ozark, of course, and then there's The Walking Dead, and um Legacies, which is part of like the Vampire Diaries universe. Like there's just tons of TV shows that I would love to get on and just I want to build my resume before I go out to LA, because LA is just a lot more business, and you want to, at least in my brain, you want to go out there with work behind you, because if you
Yeah.
don't, like, how are you gonna be known or get signed? Like, you have to have something to get people,
Completely. Yeah. I think it's a great idea. I mean, as opposed, I think you could, if you don't love New York, which it took me a long time to love New York, because I'm originally from Texas, and so it took me about living in New York for about 5 or 6 years, and I really didn't like it at all. And then finally it was like a drug. I was suddenly like, oh, I can't ever leave this place. I don't ever want to live anywhere else. But that, if you don't like it, I feel like there's, a lot of kind of like New York snobbery. And I think that, again, like, who cares? Like, just
Right.
go where the work is and go where you want to be and live where you want to live, and do your thing. Because there's all kinds of different ways to make your way in this industry, and all kinds of different avenues. So, don't take anyone's advice that tells you have to do something. Do what you want to do, and
Exactly.
so I think that's a great decision to get out of New York and go down to Atlanta. It's a good place I think for young actors to start, um, for
Exactly.
sure.
Yeah, so I mean, that's why, like, so for now, my plan is to basically just stay home for a little bit, save up money, because student loans are going to be coming up in a couple months, and that's going to be
Right.
slamming me. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to think logically and realistically and as positively as I possibly can right now.
Right.
Because, of course, like, I don't want to be home too long either, but at the same time, I would rather be home for a little while than
Oh,
just
yeah.
go out and be like, we'll just see what happens and then screw myself over later.
Yeah, you got to get your timing right, because if not, it'll be a lot like the reopenings we're seeing now. If you go out there, and nothing's going on, you're gonna have to go back home anyways. So you might as
Exactly.
well wait until you can make a full-on move and everything's up and running,
Mm-hmm.
um, and get yourself just in the right headspace. Taking good care of yourself and get in a mentally good place, so that when you go down there you can hit it full force. I think
Exactly.
that's definitely the right way to go. um
Yeah.
but yeah, how does it feel to be a graduate? I mean, how did you enjoy the program? Did you enjoy it? I mean, I was only there for a semester, so I'm kind of the new
Right.
new guy on the block. I've taught other places, but for me it was my first semester there. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about it.
Yeah. So, first year, I mean, for me, it was a little tough just because there was just I was learning so many new things. So I was like, oh my gosh, like here it is, like this is it. This is what I'm being dealt. This is what I want to do with my life. And once I really was given all of that at once, it really made me realize like this is what I want to do. And
Hmm.
there's also a lot of other things in the industry that I want to do. Like I want to write more. I want to direct one day.
Yeah.
I would do makeup. Yeah, I just want to do everything, and I think that's another cool thing about this industry is you don't have to stick to just acting or just directing. Like you can get yourself into different things.
Yeah,
um
for sure.
but first year I feel like was more theatrical because we had the dance course, and like viewpoints in Suzuki. And then second semester of first year is when we started to get a little bit into camera work. Second year is all camera work and more technical stuff. And I loved second year. It was a bummer, of course, when we had to go and do it online, but I'm also very grateful that we still got to do it, because there's a lot of other places that didn't finish anything with the semester. They just said, sorry, you have to go home. Like, this is what we have to do. And it was really cool to see all the teachers come together and actually put as much effort as we tried to at the same time with doing online. It was definitely different, and I figured out my struggles and my strengths, and of course I'll keep learning as I go on. But I mean, I really loved the program, and I really think it gave a lot for me to continue on with my career. I feel like it set me up for my career a lot, especially second year, like I said, with the business classes. And a lot of people are like, taxes, ew, why would you want to sit in a class and learn about that? But it is so important. Yeah. And to me, it's fascinating, because taxes are actually different for all different like careers. So I'm like, wow, okay. So
that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, taxes. You got to learn how to do your actor taxes. Eventually, you'll have to figure out how to deduct all that stuff so you can get your money back.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
How long have you been teaching?
Well, I coached actors. Let's see. I coached actors for about 4 or 5 years. And then I started teaching at the university level. This is my second year teaching. But I've had a lot of experience in terms of like working with actors, but definitely in the academic setting. This is only my second year doing it. So it's exciting for me, because I learn a lot doing it, because I really have to put my own, practice and my own beliefs about acting into such a refined way that I have to teach it. And so I actually have to see what works and what's kind of nonsense about what I teach, because you don't or what I do actually, because if you can't really teach it or it doesn't work, then you kind of realize maybe that's not useful to me as an actor even. So it's actually really, I see it a lot as a lab for myself, as a way for me to work with students and learn from them, and also learn for myself. I get a lot out of it. So it's been a real blessing, because I like to do it, and it's been helpful for me as an artist as well, to work with young actors.
Nice.
You have to go back to the fundamentals. You have to remember, like, it's like you played sports, right? Didn't you play sports?
Yeah, I played softball in middle school, and then I played volleyball, and then I tore my ACL.
Oh God, that's horrible. I'm so sorry.
And the funny part is, it wasn't while I was playing a sport. I just jumped wrong on a trampoline.
Oh my God, that's the worst. That's the worst. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
But it was.
Oh my God.
I kind of give it. Okay, some people will definitely call me crazy for this, and I've definitely already been called crazy for it already. But I feel like it was a gift that it happened, because I got a lot more involved than I already was with my theater department, and that's where I really dove into, this is definitely what I want to do with my life. I knew I always wanted to get in the industry. I just didn't know which part of it, which is also, again, why, like, I want to do everything, but I was able to learn and maneuver with that in high school because we had student-directed one acts, so I got to write and direct in high school twice. So it's like, it was a curse and a blessing because now here I am and I'm doing what I love.
Totally. And I played, I mean, I was an athlete myself. I played baseball, I played basketball, I played football. Like, I played everything. And I often think there's a lot of similarities between the two. There there's a performance aspect of it. There's an adrenaline aspect of it. I think it's a natural thing for you to have gone from sports into this profession. There's a competitive aspect to it. So I completely think it's, I think your outlook on it is pretty good. I mean, you're right. Not many people might call you crazy, but again, who cares? Like,
Exactly.
Screw, whatever.
I know you've done a couple different shows. It's weird because the one time, I don't know if you remember this, but in class, we were doing those mock auditions before we did jury, and Noel came in and he goes, "Oh my gosh, you were on Orange Is the New Black." And I thought it was a joke. Like, I thought he was making a joke or something, but you actually were on that show.
I was. Yeah.
And I loved the movie Limitless, so of course I watched the show, and I saw you were on it, and I was like, "That's funny."
That's hilarious.
But is there like a particular role that you love more than another? Like, what's your dream role? I know those are two different questions, but
no, that's a great question. I mean, I think the things that I did early on in my, like, especially like when you talk about like the Orange Is the New Black stuff, like the Limitless stuff, like those things were really, like, were very early on in my career, and they were super exciting, and I loved the Limitless. I had a nightmare experience working on that show for personal reasons. But it was exciting to work on it. I had all this dialogue the night before, and I didn't sleep because I was so freaked out and excited about shooting, and I was amped up, and I didn't get any sleep, so the lines didn't stick in my head. And so I got on set the next day, and we shot at like 4 p.m, so I'm exhausted, and I just like I couldn't remember my lines. I just could not remember my lines, and I was just so humiliated. And it turned out to be one of the better things I'd done, like performance-wise, which is just kind of it's something I said in class probably many times, is like, you have no control over your performance. You don't know how it's going to come out. And to think that you're doing well is usually not an indication of how you're actually doing. So when I think about like Limitless and things like that, those are really early on things that I have like specific attachments to in different ways. But in terms of roles that I love, it's more the recent stuff that I've gotten to do, because when you're a young actor in this industry, you get typecast very very specifically, and it's really hard to break those typecasts. So for like probably 5 or 6 years, all I did was play drug dealers and fucking like, dudes with long hair who were like kind of bums, you know what I mean? Like, and only now am I starting to kind of get to do stuff that has more, meat to it, and also one of the things about, I know I'm kind of like going on a tangent here, but one of the things about watching your work is that, like, so you shoot something and then you don't see it for like a year and a half, and then you've gotten better in that meantime. So every time you watch it, it's like watching a worse version of what you could do when you finally watch it. You're always like, but I'm bad in that. I'm not good in that. Like, I'm better now, So you just always look back on everything you've done and go, that was like not good. And but that's the challenge of being an actor, you know, is you always think you should be better, and you always think the next thing is going to be better. And but in terms of roles that I've loved playing, to answer your question, more of the recent stuff that I've gotten to do, things that are starting to come out now, and things that will come out, you know, soon. So
Nice.
that's a long answer to your question.
I love long answers. Love them.
Well, you got one.
Well, I mean, now, what's your favorite, like, genre? I know, because you said at least your recent work you've really enjoyed more, but is there like a specific genre that you haven't done or that you have done that's something you're looking forward to in the future to do?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely am drawn to just things that kind of put writing and acting at the forefront. Like, and I love stylistic things, you know. Like I watched Perry Mason recently, which is on HBO, and it's like good, and it's got a lot of style, but it's not. I think I loved those kinds of things, like maybe when I was younger, and I'm just sort of gearing towards things that have really relatable, like deep, profound human experiences at the core of them. Things that really say something, you know, about being, you know, a human being, or a specific experience, you know, whatever point of view the main character is coming from. That is something I've never heard before. So I don't know. I'm just, whatever it is, it kind of defies genre in a way, but I like things that have like a real heart to them, I would say. Things that
I respect
move
that. Yeah.
are moving, not necessarily like, I don't dislike cool things, but I like some stuff with heart in it, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly believe, like, if it can make you cry or like actually genuinely feel something, then one, those actors are doing their job right. Two, amazing writing. And just three, like, how could you not like something like that? It's giving you something to feel and to react to. Like, that's deep stuff.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Anytime I can be just moved by it, and it can be the subtlest little things, like, are really moving. Um, I don't like, even an incredible performance can be enough for me to be like, wow, somebody's like touching something great in this. You know, the writing's just like on another level, or the acting's just on another level. Those are the kinds of things that I really gravitate towards.
Right.
Yeah, that I want to be a part of too, you know.
Yeah. Well, I hope you get to be. I hope you get
Well, I hope we all do.
to. There we go. Putting it out into the universe.
Send that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The last thing I really wanted to ask you real quickly is, if there's like one piece of advice that you would give to anybody watching this, whether they're not even going into acting or not, or they are, wow, I can't talk, whether they're going into acting or not, what's like the most crucial thing that you would want to tell somebody advice-wise?
Yeah. This is a quote that I think about all the time, and I honestly don't remember where I heard it. But I think it does apply generally to anybody's career, is especially in this day and age with social media and all that kind of stuff. Don't get famous, get good. I think that is the most important thing anybody starting out in any profession, particularly in the performance profession, but in any profession, should value. Get good at what you're doing. You know, don't waste time. You know, you see people all the time, you know, market the hell out of themselves, and they're brilliant marketers. and they don't have the substance to back it up. And maybe they can like hit something, once, but then they'll go away. Get good, work on the craft. Like, and I know that's something people say, but like, get into the nitty gritty of the craft. If you love it, like, it should be a never ending pursuit of getting good at it. My education did not stop when I left school. You're always working. You're always trying to figure out, how can I get better? You're always watching people's performances and going, what are they doing that I can apply to my own work? And it's 24/7. And I think people take that as like, also like, it's a holistic thing. You kind of have to live your life wanting to get better at the things that you have dedicated your life to. And it's a struggle. It's not like, everyone looks at Michael Jordan and is like, you wake up and work 12 hours a day. And for our profession and many professions, we don't have the luxury of just showing up to a gym and knowing if we lift weights and knowing if we like shoot enough, from the free throw line, we're going to get better. We have to find interesting ways to keep ourselves growing. So, don't get down about that too. If you're like, I don't know how to get better, I don't know if I'm doing it right. It's a struggle. Just keep going, keep trying to get better, keep working. That's literally the best advice I can give. It's a long game, and stay patient.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Robbie. I'm really glad that you got to do this.
Of
it was
course.
great talking to you, seeing you again. Maybe I'll work with you one day. Maybe you'll teach me again. I don't know, but we will see.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you for having me. That's exciting. I'm excited to see all the stuff you're putting out. That's great.
Yeah, thank you. And
you got it.
Good luck with everything, and I'll keep in touch.
Sounds good. Have a good one. Stay safe.
You too.
Bye-bye.
See you, Robbie.